Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 46, overall 376 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at info@barrycullen.com. Live with CDP Sports Talk is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and now on CKRT Border City Radio in Windsor, thanks to their station manager and owner, Donna Tuckwell. And right now I'm on Fridays at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock and Sunday rewinds from 2 to 3 p.m. as well. I hope everyone's doing well on this Monday, March 11th. We're getting so close to the baseball season starting up for Major League Baseball and the minor leagues. It's training camp right now, and I'm excited to have my guest on today. This is his fourth time on my show. His name is Pat Malacaro. He is the manager of baseball communications and the play-by-play announcer for the Buffalo Bisons on 1520 AM The Bet in Buffalo, alongside color analyst Duke McGuire. And we're going to bring on Pat right now, and we're going to talk 2024 Buffalo Bisons with Pat. Good afternoon, Pat. How you doing?
Hey, Chris. Doing well down here. Sun's shining here in Buffalo. It's in mid-40s, so we'd take this if the season started today. I know we're under 3 weeks away from starting, but we've had such a great winter so far. Hopefully we can carry it through all the way to March 29th.
How's the field looking right now?
Looks really good. Our groundskeeper, Jeff, is doing a great job of making sure he's got some extra time now that usually at this time of year, our groundskeeper, all they can do is wait and watch the snow start to melt, but there's green grass everywhere. So he's been able to get out with the mowers and get some of the treatments done ahead of time. So hopefully, it's one of the funny things when you look back over the course of the season, some of the montage videos that take place. I always used to be able to tell when it was the early season and when it was late in the season, not by if guys were wearing, long sleeves or winter hats or anything like that, but just by the color of the grass, because it takes so long for it to really get green after the winter. But hopefully once opening day hits at the end of this month, you really won't notice a difference between whether it's March 29th, July 29th, or August 29th.
Absolutely, and congratulations to Salem Field for being one of the best minor league ballparks in the States with US Today. When do you find out if the ballpark wins it?
Yeah, we'll find out real soon. All the votes are being tabulated, and it was pretty neat when we found out we'd be part of that from USA Today. And look, this ballpark has been around since 1988, and it's still one of those centerpieces and really something we take pride in, the fact that we were one of the first, if not the first, to really go back downtown when ballparks were being built, kind of on the outskirts of downtowns. We went back to downtown Buffalo, even from where the ballpark, the old rock pile, was located, just to move back downtown and have that retro feel that everyone has started to really use as their own. And Buffalo was the first test case. Camden Yards was the first major league ballpark to be built in that retro style. And even to this day, teams are still using a lot of what we started first as their kind of blueprint for how to build a ballpark. So we're really excited about that.
All right, pal, we'll get into some questions. Just thoughts on attending the Toronto Blue Jays spring training camp in Dundee. I think the first time you said since 2019. And what do you think of all the upgrades to the stadium and the facilities there for the Blue Jays and their minor league teams?
Yeah, it looks great. I had a chance to get to TD Ballpark twice in my first couple of years of being the play-by-play broadcaster for the team, 2019, and then again in 2020 for a handful of games. And just how the facilities in general, like you look at our ballpark and how it's not a batting cage anymore, it's a hitting lab. It's not a pitching, bullpen area. It's a pitching lab. And I think you take a lot of those principles from the minor league and the major league player development complex in Dunedin, and all the investment in not just the technology, but investing in technology because you're investing in the players, is the philosophy that not only the Blue Jays, but really all teams across baseball are taking. So you look at how impressive not just the hitting cages are, but the hitting lab or the pitching lab and all that goes into getting ready for a season. And you're able to take a lot of those technologies and bring them up to the AAA level for sure, if not all the other levels. So it's pretty impressive. I know folks do get the opportunity. If you're in Dunedin, there is the ability to see some of the minor league workouts. You don't get to go all areas of the player development complex, but maybe there's an inter squad game that day, and just seeing the players get ready for whatever their workouts are that day. So not only was it nice to get a chance to see that, and then go over to TD Ballpark for a couple of games. And look, it's such a nice place to see a game, not only because of the upgrades the Blue Jays have made, but you look at the Florida State League in general and how all those teams use those facilities year round, whether it's the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Phillies have a nice complex just a stone's throw away in Clearwater. So all those teams really made an investment in not only their minor league side of things, but really the major league spring training, because so many people benefit from it in the end that it really is impressive to see.
There's no longer an off season in baseball. Major leagues, minor leagues, it's a year-round business nowadays.
Yeah, luckily for the players, in the collective bargaining agreement with the owners, they do have a little bit of time that's mandated that they can kind of recharge, reset their batteries from the previous year and get ready for the next season. But we see that in all sports, and maybe it started with the NFL and the NFL Network with the scouting combine, going to the draft, and then you almost dovetail right into your OTAs and then training camp. For baseball, the minor league season ends in some cases at Labor Day. Or in our case, at the end of September, if you don't have playoffs, and then you've got a little bit of time, maybe you go play in winter ball, and before you head to spring training in the end of mid-February, and that's a 6-week process. So really, these players have been playing in games or working out in big league facilities and complexes since February all the way through September. So it's a long season, but I think you're going back to your original question of just the impressiveness of the PDC, the player development complex, and all the investment in technologies. It's really so that players stay in the best shape possible because it's such a long year.
Pat, I wanted to ask you, I've heard this from a few friends of mine, and they don't think spring training should be what it is now, because they're like, these guys are in much better shape and conditioning than the guys back in the 70s and 60s, 70s, and 80s. Quick thoughts on that, Pat?
Well, I think spring training for, maybe for the guys that are going to be big leaguers, that you've got a spot at first base. You're the starting center fielder, starting catcher. You don't need as many reps, but I do think you do need time, because you can't simulate game action working out. And I think that's the one thing you look back at whether it's the 2020 season in the big leagues where it was, condensed down due to the pandemic, or 2021 where the minor league season started later. They schedule was put out to start in April. They backed it up about a month, and players stayed down at what was the alternate training site. You just got the sense that when games actually started to be played in 2021 on the minor league side, guys still weren't ready because they weren't able to simulate that game action. So I think the lack of time between when players and catchers report and when the position players report to game action, it's condensed. So there's not as much workout time necessarily, because I think teams realize you need to play in games, and maybe you don't need to play in every single game, but there is a value to playing in games. And then, it comes down to, there are guys that are looking to make a big league roster. So again, you can't simulate what it would be like to make, a spectacular play if you're just playing an inter squad game that, taking this as an example, maybe you start and stop the at bat. Maybe it's more of a training simulation than it is an actual game. So I think there's a lot of value in a lot of different areas for players to get game action and then eventually get into that season, whether it's in the big leagues or in the minors.
How many games were you able to get down there? And I see you did some interviews with some Bisons who are trying to make the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I had a chance to see 3 Blue Jays games while I was down there, and actually had a chance to go check out a couple other teams as well. Teams we'll see here in Buffalo this year, like Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Saw the Yankees a couple of times. So all in all, to see 5 games in 5 days was a fun experience, and that's the nice thing about spring training too. Is whether it's the Grapefruit League or the Cactus League, where everything is even more condensed in Arizona, but really you're within an hour and a half of a majority of the big league teams' spring training sites in the Grapefruit League. So maybe the Blue Jays had a day off like they did the Wednesday I was down there. There were still options to go see a game somewhere else. And even teams play night games now because they might want to change up the schedule a little bit. And again, going back to simulating regular season action, seeing players under the lights as you would see in the big leagues. So even as there are more night games, there are even more opportunities to maybe see the Blue Jays during the day, and then maybe the Phillies are home at night or the Yankees are home in Tampa, and you're able to get to 2 games in one day. So it's fun and it's exciting to see so many different options in spring training.
And also, too, it's good for the broadcasters, too, to get back into the swing of things. So it's good for the media side of it, too.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I was not calling any games while I was down there this time, but something I had the opportunity to do in the past. And yeah, you're right. I mean, you can only look, it's a long season for us, but we have an off season too. So even though you may be calling hockey or basketball or lacrosse and other things, it's not a baseball game. So luckily my partner, Duke McGuire, is a big help in terms of, making the broadcast fun and exciting, and looking forward to getting back into the booth with him in less than just over 2 weeks.
And just quick thoughts on Ben Wagner, his time with the Blue Jays and now with the Orioles. And I think he'll do a great job on the Orioles radio broadcasts.
Yeah, Ben's a great friend of mine. I had a chance to catch up with him down in Florida, and very excited for his opportunities to be part of the Orioles organization, whether it be TV or radio. And the one thing Ben does well is, look, he's very good at communicating and describing the action of the game itself. And whether it was calling games here in Buffalo with the Bisons, before that in Lakewood, in Single A, or with the Blue Jays over his 6-year tenure with the team there. He really was really shows how good of a professional he is, and very excited for the opportunity he has coming up.
Absolutely. And I think the Orioles are going to be a very good team this year and probably contend for the American League East.
Yeah, they're the favorites going into the season. And they pretty much return everybody from last year's team. You add Corbin Burns to the mix as one of your key starting rotation pieces right at the top of your rotation from opening day on. Jackson Holiday looks like he could be ready to go. We saw him here at the end of the season. Handful of players from that Norfolk roster really contending for a spot in the big leagues this year with the Orioles. So they're a team not only set up for this year, but they should be a team. I think there's a new ownership group potentially coming in to take over there. And we know whether you look around at the Mets, it hasn't resulted in success, but when new owners come into any situation, they're looking to make a splash. So I would expect the Orioles not only to be a contending team this year, but definitely for several seasons to come. And it makes it so exciting if you're a Blue Jays fan, the competition that's going to be out there. The Blue Jays have the pieces to be a team that should make playoff runs, but the Orioles, reigning division champs, they're looking to go beyond just winning the division, so it'll be fun.
I have the Jays right now winning 90 games at least, and one of the factors, Pat, this goes for any sports too, is the injury factor. If they can stay healthy with their pitching staff and everybody has good years, I don't see why the Blue Jays can't win at least 90 games and compete for the American League East. And I wanted to ask you this question quickly before we get to some other questions. Thoughts on North York native Joey Votto, who's going to be a future Baseball Hall of Famer, in my opinion, and Canadian Baseball Hall of Famer, being invited to spring training camp with the Jays in a non-roster spot?
Yeah, it's a great story that broke on Friday, and very excited for the potential for Joey Votto to potentially make the Blue Jays roster, or with him signing basically midway through spring training. And even he admitted that he may need some time in the minor leagues. I think that could be very, very exciting for Bison fans, because you would expect that if Joey Votto doesn't make the Blue Jays out of spring, and it's probably because just he doesn't have enough reps under his belt. I guess it goes right back to your original question of, is spring training too long? For a player like Joey Votto, just getting healthy these last couple of years has been such a key for him. Now that he is getting the reps and the opportunities to see major league pitching again at the end of spring. And, AAA is really a spot where a lot of veterans, maybe less than in the past, but certainly there'll be enough of them around that if Joey Votto doesn't make the big leagues, and I'd expect, again, it'd be because he doesn't have enough maybe game action or needs some more work, getting back, whether it's, the timing at the plate and things like that, that he would really find it pretty quickly here at AAA. And, how great of a story is it? We've seen many of those stories come through Buffalo, and now the 10-year existence of the partnership between the Bisons and the Blue Jays. And whether it was Scott Diamond, somebody who grew up a Blue Jays fan, I believe from Markham, Ontario, Jordan Romano, who was here in Buffalo for a couple of seasons before he became the all-star closer for the Blue Jays. Jeff Francis, he's a Canadian Baseball Hall of Famer, I believe now. There's so many, Andrew Albers, Chris LaRue. I mean, go down the list of players that are Canadian homegrown talent, and even the upcoming talent, someone like Damiano Palmigiani, who is a top 20, top 15 prospect in the Blue Jay organization. He wasn't necessarily born in Canada, but his family moved there while he was very young and is from British Columbia now, and he's Canadian. So, he's a Canadian through and through. There's so many great stories, and I think Joey Votto would just be another one of those in the mix. And, how can you not root for a story like that?
Absolutely. And I like the addition of Justin Turner. I know people didn't like him when he was with the Red Sox, but he was a champion with the Dodgers. And I think he's going to bring leadership, a championship mentality. And I think he's going to be very important for that ball club this year, Justin Turner. And I like who they also got from the Mets, Daniel Vogelbach, I think a left-handed bat. So I think their DH situation, and if Joey Votto can make the team, it's just going to give the team more depth going into the season.
Yeah, and depth is such a key. Last year, the Blue Jays, you'd look at the starting rotation, save for Alek Manoah, they were 100%. The rotation that started the season was the rotation that ended the year, and there really were no major setbacks for the starting rotation. A couple of bullpen pieces we saw from time to time, but whether it was an injury or whatever, Chad Green was coming back from Tommy John surgery. You knew that he wouldn't be ready until right around late July, early August, ended up being right around the trade deadline. So that was one of those proverbial, getting healthy is as good as a trade. Hyun-Jin Ryu was coming back from injury and helped the Blue Jays down the stretch last year. Another one of those pitchers that got healthy right around the trade deadline, and the addition to the Blue Jays that they were able to make that in that respect, they were relatively healthy. But AAA is such a, is supposed to be that fallback for your big league club, whether it's somebody that's on the non-roster invite list right now. You mentioned Daniel Vogelbach, mentioned somebody like, Spencer Horwitz, who's on the 40-man roster and made his major league debut last year. He's a left-handed hitter who has very good plate discipline. Even if they start the year in Buffalo, they are always going to be right there as that next option for if the Blue Jays have a need. You hope you never have to go into your depth pool, but that's what it's there for. And there's some great stories of players making major league rosters. Or you mentioned Justin Turner. He was actually a member of the Bisons roster when we were affiliated with the New York Mets in that 2009 to 2012 era, and he got called up and never came back, really. So those are the great stories that take place, and there's always a lot of those that happen every season.
In his time with the Bisons, Pat, what do you remember most about Justin Turner in his time in Buffalo?
He was a scrappy player. He was somebody who just he played the game in a hard way. In that, by that I mean, he knew he had to fight for everything to get to the big leagues. He knew that just his talent alone wasn't going to be enough, because everyone at this level has talent. It's doing those little things that make you a big leaguer, and finding out ways to just out hustle the competition. And Justin Turner did that, and he's been a multi-time All-Star. You mentioned world champion with the Dodgers, and really has put together a nice decade in the big leagues, pretty much plus that since being here in Buffalo. So just being a guy that really had to work for it, had to earn it. And I think there's a lot of players out there that really go through that same struggle. And when you finally see that payoff, it's quite nice to see.
And that's another reason for folks watching and listening to this show today, why you should go to a Buffalo Bisons game or a minor league game, because you're seeing future potential Major League Baseball stars before they get to the big leagues. And I love coming down to the ballpark, and I'm excited about this year as well.
Yeah, and every season we have some great stories, and mentioned Damiano Palmigiani, and really the players that ended the season last year in Buffalo in terms of the position players are almost all expected to be here in some respect this season. And we always hope that the players that come here to Buffalo make it to the big leagues and they never come back. They could be the next Justin Turner. But the realization is there's just so many spots on a roster when you have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or Bo Bichette, Kevin Kiermaier, George Springer. There's not always going to be enough options for players to stick in the big league. So that means for Buffalo, guys like Spencer Horwitz could end up here in Buffalo this season. Leo Jimenez, Arelis Martinez, those are two of the top 10 prospects according to MLB Pipeline in the Blue Jay organization. I mentioned Damiano Palmigiani. Addison Barger's been playing a lot of right field this year. He's still a top 10, top 5 prospect in the Blue Jay organization. And then add to the mix Ricky Tiedemann, who is on the verge of making his major league debut at some point soon. He was able to make his Bison debut at the end of the season last year. There's so many good, young, talented prospects that'll probably end up here in Buffalo this year, that if you're a Blue Jays fan, and you mentioned, you get a chance to see them before they make their big league debut or stick as big leaguers and say, I had a chance to see Justin Turner with the Bisons before he was Justin Turner, the world champion. And to see them here in Buffalo on such a family-friendly and affordable night here at the ballpark. And, one of those things we do every season before the start of the year, Canadian at par. We know that the exchange rate can be one of those things that inhibits folks from coming down across the border. Now that luckily, for over a year now, folks have been able to cross the border like we did in 2019. Well, you always have the currency exchange, and that's always an issue. But one of the nice things is you go to bisons.com. All the details are there about buying your individual game tickets at par now through the start of the season. Doesn't have to be for a game in April. If you want to come see us maybe on July 3rd, maybe on August, whatever, you want to come to Marvel's Defender of the Diamond Night, buy your tickets now. Get basically the currency at par. There's a promo code that you use if you're going to buy your tickets online. It has to be Canadian cash here at the ballpark. You can't do credit cards for when you get here, but the ability to just get your tickets at par is one of those things that we really like to stress, because we know that, especially in this day and age, your dollar only goes so far. So to get to see players before they debut in the big leagues on such an affordable ticket price is one of those things we really do take pride in.
Absolutely. And Pat, with not many minor league teams left in Canada, other than I think Vancouver, the Bisons are right next door to Southern Ontario. So if you haven't been to a game, get down to the Bisons, and you can get tickets at bisons.com too.
Yep. Yeah. Head over to bisons.com. We've got all the info. You can see the great promotional nights. Everyone loves fireworks. What we call our Friday night bash. That's been a staple here at the ballpark for over 35 years now. Sunday, kids can run the bases. They get on the field post game and can take a lap around the bases. If maybe you want to bring your dog to the game, we have dog days here at the ballpark. So there's a lot of different options: night games, day games. Even for school kids, we have a school kids day at the end of May, beginning of June. So there's a lot of different options for folks to come out to a game. And again, we like to make it as affordable as possible for folks to come to a game. And that's what minor league baseball is about. And I really do think that the majors have adopted a lot of what we do here in the minor leagues because it's been so successful.
And I have to admit, I was one of the guys that was against the pitch clock and some of the changes, but being at the Bisons games the last 2 years, I really like all the changes they've done to the game. And one thing I wanted to say to you too is I noticed a lot of the night games are starting at 6:05 for the most part.
Yeah, 6:05 starts before Memorial Day here in the States. 6:35 once we get to the summer. And look, we know that even though games are ending earlier than they had in the past, folks, night out, especially during school, has changed. So we want to get you into the ballpark. We want you to have a great night. We don't want it to be too late for the kids to come out to a game as well. So starting our game times Monday through Thursday and even on Saturdays at 6:35 in the summer hours is really just our opportunity to make sure everyone has a chance to come to a game, because maybe in the past couple of years, it's just too late for your family to stay for the fireworks after the game is over on a Saturday night, or come out to a game on a Tuesday in the summer. You've got something going on the next day. So starting a half hour earlier, it was something we really discussed in the off season, wanted to make the change because we know everybody's really habits have changed over these last couple of years. And, even though games are shorter, to be out of the ballpark just potentially 8:30, 9 o'clock for a 6:30 start isn't the worst thing in the world on a weeknight for folks to kind of, get here, get the family back home and enjoy a night at the ballpark.
Did the Bisons organization get feedback from their season ticket holders as well, and use that information when they make these decisions?
Oh, always. Yeah. We always take into account not just the season ticket holders, but we do surveys throughout the course of the season for folks that just maybe you come to one game a year, but your opinion matters to us as well. Maybe there's something you didn't like about a game or something here at the ballpark. We always take the feedback. We listen to it. And yeah, that is one of those things that we heard over the last couple of years is, maybe start times could be a little bit earlier, and we listen and we take those into account. And look, we're willing to try things. Maybe it doesn't get you out of the ballpark earlier, but we can't say that we didn't try and make things as easy and as family friendly and fan friendly as possible.
I noticed on opening day against the Royal Riders, you got a promotion, ice scraper day, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we don't need to use them until the off season the next year. But yeah, it's how many times I can tell you, I've been here at the ballpark for over 20 years, and there's been many years where there's been snow flying on opening day. Hopefully that's not the case this year, as the weather has been so good here in Buffalo. But maybe the snow scraper does come in handy, or maybe you just need to use it next year in the winter. So again, those things that we kind of take into account here at the ballpark.
Absolutely. And I checked the schedule this morning, and you guys are playing on my birthday again this year on Saturday, June 29th against the Syracuse Mets. So I think for my second straight birthday, I'm going to be down at the ballpark because that's where I love it. That's my home right there is the ballpark, and I'm excited, and it should be a good game against Syracuse Mets as well. Hey, Pat, since I got you on for a couple more minutes, just thoughts on Davis Schneider, and did you realize how good he was and his impact on the Bisons and the Blue Jays last year?
Yeah, I don't think anybody could have anticipated how well that Davis played in the big leagues. Certainly anybody that gets this level, that they are the top tier of prospects. And for Davis Schneider, he was the number 28 prospect going into last season. So I don't like to say that he came out of nowhere, but he definitely was not the top prospect. As we're focusing on when Orelvis Martinez may make his AAA debut, or some of the other players, or somebody like Spencer Horwitz, who really excelled in the second half of the 2022 season and was on the verge of making it to the big leagues and did in June. For Davis Schneider, you talk about Justin Turner. I think Davis Schneider is a similar player, and he knows that he wasn't a top draft pick. He was drafted by the Blue Jays, but out of high school, takes a few more years to maybe mature into an everyday player as a youngster at his age and coming out of high school in New Jersey. But he always worked at it. He was always in the cage, in the hitting lab, always working with the coaching staff. And I think that's one thing we saw some of the power at the end of the 2022 season. He, Addison Barger, and a few others came up to Buffalo, and we expected big things from them. And I think for Davis Schneider, we didn't expect to see the numbers that he put up necessarily, but that's a credit to him. He put in the work in that offseason. He led the team in home runs last year. And one of the reasons why I think a lot of those home runs did not come here in Buffalo, but he's able to go to all fields. He's not a dead pull hitter. A lot of his home runs went to right center, in a place that the ball doesn't carry here in Buffalo. But maybe it was in Toledo. I remember for a game where he hit 2 home runs, both of them went to right center field in Toledo. So he's somebody that knew how to use all fields. And then also, I think he is one of the players, and there's quite a few on this Bison roster last year, that really understood with the automatic ball strike system, the ABS system, where for lack of a better term, the robot called balls and strikes for 3 days a week, and the umpire had the challenge system the other 3 days. knowing that the strike zone was going to be smaller because it was finite when you had full ABS games. There was no ambiguity in terms of whether the ball was in the strike zone or not. Davis Schneider learned early on, look, I'm 5'10". I can use that to my advantage. He, Rafael Antigua, Spencer Horwitz were three of the top on-base percentage players in the league. They led the league in walks, or were in the top 5 of that category a lot last year. And I think using that and knowing how to use the strike zone to his advantage worked to his advantage when he made it to the big leagues, because he was able to use that plate discipline. And you saw a lot of the results, not just the home runs, but just his ability to connect bat on ball and put balls in play that really made him successful.
Pat, is there any new rule changes added for the 2024 season, and any changes to the first half, second half like they did last year, which I thought was great?
Yeah, we're scheduled to have the first half and second half split season again this year. And the nice thing about it was, for the Bisons team, wins and losses wise, the first half, they were really not in contention because Norfolk ran away with it right away. The Bisons got off to a slow start. But when you look back at the second half of the season, the Bisons were one of the teams that got off to such a very good start at the end of June, beginning of July, and use that to stay right at the top of the standings. So I'm looking forward to that, because it can make the season that much more interesting, because nobody's out of it from that respect, unless you're a team like, unfortunately, like Charlotte last year, which really had 2 really bad halves of the season. There was the full season of just tough sledding for them. I'm looking forward to that. No other changes this year. This is one of those years of, all right, whether it was the bigger bases a couple of years ago, they're really last year, the full ABS. Don't forget, we haven't talked about it, but the rule legislating against shifting took place last year in minor league baseball. So having to have 2 infielders on each side of second base, and on the infield itself, you couldn't be in the outfield fully. So all those changes last year helped the pace of play. And really, I don't know if there was anything else that you would have instituted, other than we still don't know if it's going to be a 3-day full ABS, 3-day challenge system for the automatic ball strike system, but we will have something of that effect this year.
For those that are watching that haven't seen the changes, have been down to a minor league game, can you just tell them quickly what's the pitch clock like when there's nobody on base and when there's somebody on base?
Yeah, so the time is different. Whether it was 15 or 19 seconds last year, 15 seconds when nobody was on base, 19 seconds when there was a runner on, and then the hitter had to be ready for play as well. It wasn't just the pitcher that was held to task. If the pitcher didn't deliver the pitch within the time on the clock, well, then a ball was issued. If the batter wasn't ready to go right around 10 seconds, then a strike would be issued. And rarely did it come into play, but it did from time to time. And also, you also have the disengagements, whether it's pitcher stepping off the rubber to disengage. When there's nobody on base, you can't. There's no ambiguity there. The pitcher has to deliver the pitch before the end of the 15-second pitch clock. But if there's a runner on base, you can disengage twice. The third time, you have to throw over, and if you don't get the runner, then it's a balk called. That was something that really came into play a couple of years ago. But all these enhancements of the pitch clock, the disengagements, the amount of times that you can go out to the mound and use a mound visit, there's fewer of those now. There's 4 instead of 5, 3 challenges instead of on those days that there's not full ABS. So all those things coming into play shave seconds, which shave minutes off games. And at one point, we did see the reduction of game times over a half hour from the 21 to the 22 season. And some of that time was given back last year, and a lot of it due to you can still do mid-inning pitching changes. There's no restrictions on how many times you can make a pitching change, other than you have to face 3 batters within an inning. But really, if a team wanted to see how a pitcher reacted to start an inning and then have someone come in after them, there's no restrictions on how many times you can do that. So that was, you gave some of that time back, but really game times have started to come down right around the 2:45 range, which, over the course of a season, 15 minutes a day adds up.
Okay, and we're going to wrap this up, Pat. Just quickly, did you find the stolen bases are now more of an impact again with the bigger bases and some of the changes? And final question for you, Pat, for today: overall impression of the job done by manager Casey Candell and the coaching staff in 2023, and the thoughts on Casey's return. I believe this is his fourth season as the Bison's manager.
Yeah, there definitely was an increase in stolen bases. And you go back to whether it's two disengagements, the bigger bases, meaning there's less ground station to station to cover. You did see players use that to their advantage. And the ability of a catcher to throw out a base runner was that much more important over the last two seasons. For Casey Candell, yeah, having him back in Buffalo this year, we're excited about it. We always, just like our players, we hope that after one season, the coaches graduate to the big leagues like Matt Haig did, and he became a Buffalo Baseball Hall of Famer last year for his job as a player with the Bisons and the Blue Jays affiliation. But the job he did with a lot of the hitters here in Buffalo, he warranted the promotion to the big leagues. So it was a job well done for Matt Haig. Drew Long will take over as the hitting coach here in Buffalo this year. Casey's just a good, not manager, but able to communicate with people. And I think that's such an important part of it. When I talk to guys that played for Casey over the last three seasons or before that, they just say beyond him managing the team, he's able to deal with you and connect with you on a one-on-one basis. And you can't quantify that, but it matters. And it's something that makes players more comfortable when they're in a game or getting ready for a game, getting ready to play. So I think for Casey, his ability to connect with his players, and look, Casey's an older manager. Look, he's not just retired from baseball. He's been retired from the game since right around the 2000s. So, but he's seen enough baseball, and he's such a good communicator and effective listener to players that he is one of those guys that he really connects on a human basis, and he has made it that much easier for players to make that transition to AAA. Or, sometimes guys are not happy about coming down from the big leagues, but he's able to find a way to work with those players to make them feel as comfortable as possible here in Buffalo.
And he's been great with me interviewing him and talking to him as well. And I think that's great that they have consistency and stability with the Buffalo Bisons organization. And Pat, I got to let you go. But hey, finally, where can my audience follow the Buffalo Bisons on social media and the team's official website?
Yeah, you can head over to bisons.com. We have all the info, whether it's Canadian cash at par, our theme nights, special nights coming up. Head over to bisons.com. On X, Twitter, it's Buffalo Bisons, at Buffalo Bisons, Facebook.com/Buffalo Bisons, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. Just search us Buffalo Bisons. You'll find us there as well. So we got a lot of great content that we're putting out this season, and hopefully telling a lot of great stories from the players that will be coming through here in Buffalo this year.
And the games again will be on the Bet 1520 in Buffalo.
Yep, you can catch them on the Bet 1520. Those of you here stateside, you can use the Odyssey app or go to bisons.com. For our friends up in Canada, we know that's been such an issue the last couple of years because you're not able to stream the games on the Odyssey app here outside of the States. So we think we have a solution this year where if you go to bisons.com, whether you're in the United States or Canada, you'll be able to listen to our games.
Good to know. Well, Pat, hey, I want to say thank you for giving me 30 plus minutes of your time. And I'm hoping to see you at the ballpark very soon. And I'm excited about this 2024 Buffalo Bisons team as well. Again, thank you so much, Pat, for coming on today.
You're welcome, Chris. Anytime.
Have a great day. All right, guys, that was Season 7, Episode 46 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership here in Guelph, with my guest, Pat Malacaro, the manager of baseball communications for the Buffalo Bisons, and he's also their play-by-play announcer for the Buffalo Bisons on 1520 The Bet in Buffalo as well. And the Bisons' home opener is Friday, March 29th, 2:05 first pitch against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Raiders. I believe they are the top farm team of the New York Yankees. So hopefully the weather will cooperate, but the Bisons are going to have their home opener, the earliest one in their 100-plus year history, on Friday, March 29th at 2:05 first pitch at S.A. Lynn Field in downtown Buffalo. You can get tickets at bisons.com. And again, you can still get your tickets at the box office with cash, but the rest of the stadium this year is cashless as well. So I'm looking forward to hopefully being down to the ballpark quite often this year. And I want to say thanks to Pat Malacaro again for coming on. And he's also a WGR radio personality in Buffalo. And he's also sometimes helps out with the Sabres Radio Network as well. So again, the Bisons open the regular season at home Friday, March 29th, March 30th, and Sunday, March 31st against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Real Raiders, the top farm team of the New York Yankees. Friday's game is at 2:05, first pitch opening day, and then Saturday, Sundays are 1:05. And Salin Field is in downtown Buffalo, right off the 190 and about maybe 5-6 minutes from the Peace Bridge. And there's plenty of parking by the ballpark. And the Buffalo Bisons do a great job with their game day presentation, their broadcasts. And the Bisons are a tremendous organization. And the Toronto Blue Jays and Bisons partnership for the last 10 years has been outstanding. And you can see great players down in Buffalo too, just before they get to the major leagues. So again, check out thebisons.com. And also, guys, I have it on my ticker as well. You can email the team at info@bisons.com, or you can call the team at 716-846-2000 and also contact the Salin Field box office at 716 The Herd or 843-4373. And you can follow the team on social media. And before we wrap up this show, guys, I'm going to show you a little bit of a clip from my YouTube channel. And it's from the Buffalo Bisons. It's about the Buffalo Bisons, courtesy of WIVB TV Channel 4 in Buffalo. And I'm going to play the little clip now. It's about the Buffalo Bisons and their upcoming season.
Spring training is underway down in Florida, where the Buffalo Bisons, players and coaches, they're preparing for the upcoming season. But back here in Buffalo, plenty are prepping for opening day. News Source Hope Winter is at the ballpark.
We're really looking forward to adding people that want to be here and want to be a part of a fun experience and to share that experience with our fans.
The warm, sunny days spent at Salin Field may seem far away, but the Buffalo Bisons are already drafting players for their team behind the team. They are holding open interviews this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for those who want to be part of the magic at the ball game.
We have lots of positions available in concessions, vending, the restaurant, Consumers Public Park Restaurant, retail and merchandise. Lots of opportunities to be a part of an exciting atmosphere. Come on down here, be a part of the team, have fun this summer, and make a little bit of money.
Now, it may be pretty chilly here at Salin Field, but the Buffalo Bisons are excited to welcome fans back into the stands even earlier this year.
Weather in Buffalo in April and May, and can always be a challenge, but there's something special about opening day, and that's a day where you'll bundle up and you'll come on out to the ballpark because it's truly the greatest holiday in all of sports.
The Bisons are up to bat Friday, March 29th this year, marking the earliest opening day they've had in nearly 140 years of baseball history in Buffalo. Leading up to the day, there will be preparation for the concession stands, planning popular events like Star Wars Night on July 3rd, and eyes on the forecast for the condition of the field.
Sometimes it's a little bit of just waiting for the temperatures to get right and for the ground to soften up. I know they're itching to get that first mow in of the outfield grass. It'll still be a little bit longer, but they're doing a tremendous job just making sure that when the weather does turn that we'll be ready to go and the field will look great on opening day.
For more information on upcoming events with the Bisons, visit WIVB.com. In Buffalo, Hope Winter, News 4.
Spring training is...
All right, guys, that clip was courtesy of WIVB Channel 4 in Buffalo. And again, the Bisons open up the regular season and home opener Friday, March 29th, 2 o'clock at beautiful Salin Field in downtown Buffalo. 2:05 first pitch against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Real Raiders. And you can get tickets through bisons.com, or you can still get them at their Salin Field box office. And one thing that they've made some changes, Salin Field this year to be cashless for the Buffalo Bisons games in 2024 for concessions, merchandise, vending, and restaurant purchases. But fans can still use cash at the Salin Salem Field box office as well. And it's going to be a great season. And they've got 3 big home games against the Royal Riders. And if you're a Blue Jays fan or a Yankees fan or a Major League Baseball fan, you got to come down to that ballpark. It's about 18,000 seats, and it's right off the 190 downtown Buffalo. Easy to get to, lots of parking, and they have a lot of great food and drink options there as well, and a lot of stuff for kids to do as well. And I'm really excited about this 2024 Bisons team as well. Also, guys, just to let you know, the next live with CDP Sports Talk, again, sponsored by BarryCullen.com, is going to be it's going to be Wednesday, March 13th, 4 p.m. Eastern. My guest is going to be Eli Ong. He's a digital supervisor producer for the WGN News in Chicago. So he does a lot of social media work for them on their websites. And we're also going to talk to Eli about some Chicago teams, the White Sox, the Cubs, and the Chicago Bears, who just signed former Detroit Lion and Philadelphia Eagles running back DeAndre Swift today as well. Speaking of the National Football League, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. The Eagles recently just announced the retirements of center number 62 Jason Kelce after 13 years from 2011 to 2023. And also yesterday, defensive tackle Fletcher Cox, number 91, announced his retirement after 12 years. Kelce and Fletcher Cox are 2 of the old-time great Philadelphia Eagles, both members of Super Bowl 52 championship team. And one day, I think both will be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And number 91 and number 62 meant a lot to the city of Philadelphia and the Philadelphia Eagles as well. So we'll see who they have to replace them. But whoever replaces Kelce and Fletcher Cox has big shoes to step in as well. And again, DeAndre Swift now is with the Chicago Bears. And we'll see if the rumors come true in an NFL free agency with a certain player from the Giants possibly signing with the Eagles. So we'll see what happens there again. But again, Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox will be missed with the Philadelphia Eagles, not just for their playing ability, but their leadership and what they brought to the Philadelphia Eagles franchise for over a decade. And one Eagle left. I think there's 2 left from Super Bowl 52 championship team that beat the Patriots. Jake Elliott, the kicker, and Brandon Graham, the Michigan Wolverines alumni, defensive end for the Eagles, just signed a 1-year deal with the Eagles for his 15th year as well. So Brandon Graham, number 55, will be back for 1 more year. And hopefully the Eagles can get back to the NFC Championship game and possibly the Super Bowl next year with the right offseason moves and another strong NFL draft as well. So we'll see what happens there as well. All right, guys, as always, we're going to wrap up this show, but Live with CDP Sports Talk, again, is a weekly sports and entertainment talk show hosted by yours truly, Chris Palme. It is always on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. And Live with CDP Sports Talk is now available on radio station CKRT, Border City Radio in Windsor, thanks to Donna Tuckwell, the station manager and owner. And right now I'm on there Fridays from 1 o'clock to 2 p.m. Eastern and Sunday rewinds from 2 to 3. If anything changes with that, I will let you guys know in the future. As for my other station, our radio website is wqeefm.radio12345.com. Live with CDP Sports Talk is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live stream today, as well as my audio platforms. Also, you guys can check out my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme, all my social media sites, all my digital content, as well as my previous radio shows are on beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. Speaking of my sponsor, Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership here in Guelph, 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles. And you can give them a call at 519-824-0210 or email them at info@barrycullen.com. And right now is truck month at Barry Cullen Chevrolet with the 2024 Silverado. More details available at barrycullen.com. com. And a shout out this morning. I had to take my car into Barry Cullen Chevrolet just for some minor servicing. I want to say thank you to service consultant Greg Smith and mechanic Jim Zuttle for their great customer service and for always looking after me. So another reason to go to Barry Cullen Chevrolet, not just the quality GM products there, but it's family owned since 1969, and the customer service at Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph is amazing. So please, if you're looking for a new vehicle or used vehicle, check out Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership. And I just want to say thank you again to Greg Smith, the service consultant, and Jim Zuttle for their amazing customer service and job down there. And they always look after their customers down there, and that is so important in a business nowadays. Also, you can follow this content creator on TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok at the age of 51 at Live with CDP, and you'll see a lot of my media work with players and coaches and reels and highlights of my career on TikTok at Live with CDP. And I want to say thank you to my 2020 followers. Just a year and a half ago, I was having trouble getting 1,000 followers to go live there, and now I have over 2,020 followers. And thank you so much for following me there. And if you haven't, at Live with CDP, and hit the follow notification as well. And also, guys, check me out on YouTube. Again, I want to say thank you to my 281 subscribers on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe and like notification to my YouTube channel as well. And also, guys, I'm on Cameo.com. Yes, I'm on Cameo.com. If you're looking to book a personalized video message, greetings, birthday wishes, pep talk, check out Chris Pame on Cameo.com as well. And the proceeds from my videos will go to my media work and my radio show as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're into webinars or podcasting, such as yours truly, check out StreamYard.com. You can get basic free plans, or you can get plans such as what I have in the professional plan at $49 US a month. And also, if you're a business and you do a lot of webinars or live streaming for your business, check out StreamYard.com again and contact the sales department for pricing for your business as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk, the audio version is available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, and on TuneIn as well. You can also email or text Live with CDP Sports Talk at cpame19@gmail.com, or you can text the show at 519-820-7188. If you have comments, questions, suggestions, feedback, positive or negative, please email me again at cpame19@gmail.com or 519-820-7188. The only way to get better in life is to get feedback and learn from your feedback as well. I also want to say thank you to the Business Education Partnership of Waterloo Region for last week having me speak at Forest Heights High School in Kitchener to grade 10s about careers and my career in the media and radio at the age of 51, and also finding your passion. I want to say thank you to Jennifer and the teacher Laura for setting this up, and I thought it was a great experience. I might have rambled on for 45 minutes, but the teacher Laura and her students were engaged with what I was saying, and they asked me some questions, and I'm going to hopefully be doing some more public speaking at local high schools in the Kitchener-Waterloo area in the next couple weeks as well. And I just love this career change, and I want to say thank you to everyone for supporting me. And it hasn't been an easy road, but you know what? Nothing worthwhile is ever easy. And I also have a comment on here. Let's see. Pat Gregor. Chris, thoughts on the Eagles signing Saquon Barkley? Is this confirmed, Pat? I've heard rumors of it, but if it's a done deal, I think it's great. Obviously, when they signed DeAndre Swift last year, who now signed with the Bears, there was a concern about Swift staying healthy with Philly, but he stayed healthy for the year. So if this is true, Pat, that he signed with the Eagles, and he stays healthy, they got themselves a 1,400 yard running back. And also, too, Pat, this coaching staff is completely been changed in Philadelphia, except for Nick Sirianni. So, if this is the case, they've got Barkley. I think he's a great addition, and he gives them. I think he's faster than DeAndre Swift, and I think he's more explosive, faster. And I really hope this is true, that he's going to become a Philadelphia Eagle. I know Houston was interested in Barkley as well, so we'll see what happens. But as for the Eagles, I mentioned Jason Kelce, the future Hall of Fame center, retired. Fletcher Cox, the defensive tackle, retired. And it's just, where does the time go? Kelce was there 13 years, and Fletcher Cox was there 12 years. And like I said, the only two members left the Super Bowl 52 winning team against New England are Jake Elliott, the kicker, as well as Brandon Graham, the Michigan Wolverines alumni, who signed a one-year deal with Philly for his 15th year. So it's an interesting offseason in Philadelphia right now, with all the changes on their coaching staff, the retirements of Kelce and Cox, DeAndre Swift leaving, and also releasing Avant Maddox and Kevin Byard, who signed with the Bears. So we'll see what happens. We got the NFL draft coming up in Detroit, April 27th to the 29th. I am going to apply for a media pass for the NFL draft. Fingers crossed, and looking forward to it. And let's see, another comment from Pat. By the way, guys, Pat Gregor is not just a friend of mine, but he's also the color analyst for the National Lacrosse League's Halifax Thunderbirds, and also the TSN Game of the Week for the National Lacrosse League as well. And I'm hoping to see Pat, John, and Ashley this Saturday. Actually, I will be there as a media member covering the Bandits and the Toronto Rock game Saturday at the KeyBank Center. But here's Pat's next comment. Being reported by Adam Scheffler, 3 years, $37.75 million. That could be worth up to 46.7, 25 million fully guaranteed. I can live with that. That's a good deal. My only concern with him is, like we had with DeAndre Swift, can he stay healthy? But in Philadelphia, they play on a much better field at Lincoln Financial Field on the grass than that turf at MetLife Stadium. I've heard a number of people, Giant fans, Jet fans, and media people complain about that turf there. So I think being on a grass field will help them as well. And they still have Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell, so we'll see if they move on from Gainwell. But that is a good move. I'm really happy about it. The Eagles still have a little more work to do on both sides of the ball after what happened last year when they were 10-1 and then just had a meltdown. So it's going to be interesting with the new coaching staff minus Nick Sirianni and some of these player moves. But that's a big move. That's a big move getting Barkley there. And to me, with that Eagles offensive line, they just signed Landon Dickerson to an extension. So even without the loss of Jason Kelce, which is a huge loss, one of the best centers in pro football, I think the Eagles are still going to have a good offensive line next year. And Barkley, if he can stay healthy, I predict will get 12, 13, 1,400 yards rushing as well. Pat Gregor, another comment, will become the second highest for a running back in NFL history. Great deal if he can stay healthy. That's the key, Pat. You just never know, and hopefully he does. DeAndre Swift stayed healthy for the Eagles last year, so we'll see. But they also need Jalen Hurts to be healthy. Jalen Hurts played with an knee injury last year, and as you can see, Jalen Hurts is more effective when he can play like Josh Allen. Obviously, he's not like Josh Allen physically, or have as good as arm as Josh Allen, but his mobility to me is as good as Josh Allen's, if not better. And hopefully he can stay healthy next year as well. So yeah, that's a big part of football and sports, staying healthy. Pat, since I got you on here, what are your thoughts on the Buffalo Bandits signing a Connor Farrell to a 2-year contract extension? Apparently he's like a Max Adler type player, and I guess a game against Saskatchewan where they won 15-14 in overtime on a Natico overtime goal, Farrell had won 27 out of 33 faceoffs as well. So this game Saturday is huge. Obviously, the Rock are 11-2, and they're going to get one of the top seeds or the top seed. But the Toronto Rock, the last couple years, have not beaten the Buffalo Bandits. They haven't beaten them in the regular season. They haven't beaten them in the playoffs. And the Buffalo Bandits, don't count them out yet. They're 6-6, and they're the number 5 seed. this is going to be a hell of a game Saturday night. It's at 7 o'clock, 7:30 at the KeyBank Center in Buffalo. The game will be the National Lacrosse League Game of the Week on TSN with John Abbott, Pat Gregor, and Ashley Docking. But it'll also be on ESPN Plus, CW23 Network in Buffalo, and the Bet 1520 AM in Buffalo with John Gerkler, the longtime Bandits play-by-play announcer, along with Steve Bermel and Dave Buchanan as well. So it's going to be a hell of a game. I'm excited. And I wish the Bandits had signed Connor Farrell a little bit early, but he's already made an impact in his first game with the Bandits. Obviously, they did not blow out the Saskatchewan Rush. But one thing I've learned, Pat, in following the National Lacrosse League the last 2 years, there are no easy gimme games in this league. I don't care what your record is, where you are in the standings. There's no such easy games. And this game, Buffalo-Toronto Saturday, is the best rivalry in the National Lacrosse League. And if you want to get down there, get tickets at bandits.com. And if you don't know much about the National Lacrosse League, you want to learn more about it, check out the National Lacrosse League.com as well. And again, Pat, you do a great job on TSN and with the Halifax Thunderbirds. And Pat and John Gerkler were two of the guys that have got me into the National Lacrosse League as well. And just excited about that game as well. Also, guys, just to let you know, again, my next live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet, Wednesday, March 13th. That's a typo. Wednesday, March 13th, 4 p.m. with my guest, Eli Ong, digital supervising producer with WGN News in Chicago. We're going to talk about his career in the media journalist industry and also a little bit about Chicago sports. He covers the Chicago Bears, the Chicago White Sox, the Cubs, the Bears, and maybe talk to him about the Chicago Bears stadium situation. They're looking for a new stadium. And also the White Sox are looking to move from guaranteed rate field as well. So we'll see what happens there as well. And before we wrap this up, guys, I just stumbled here. As some of you know, I'm volunteering with the Cambridge District Humane Society in Cambridge. And if you're in the Cambridge, Kitchener-Waterloo, Guelph area, you're looking for a pet family friend, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. You can give them a call at 519-623-7722 or visit their website at cambridgehumanesociety.org. And they currently have a monthly raffle going on there right now. So you can get tickets there and check that out. And I bought my ticket. You can get, I think, 100 tickets for $50, 20 for $20. And then you can buy 5 tickets for $10. But more details at cambridgehumanesociety.org. And check out some of the animals down there, like Alpen and Clifford. And I really enjoy it down there. The staff do a wonderful job with all the animals down there. And if you have any bedding or any sheets or any kind of food supplies you'd like to donate, check out the Cambridge Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge. And it's just right beside the Cambridge Center Mall as well. And before we wrap this up, guys, we're just going to make one more page for the new station I'm on. Check out CKRT, Border City Radio in Windsor, Ontario, Fridays at 1 and Sundays at 2. And our website at Border City Radio is CKRT bordercityradio.com. That's CKRT bordercityradio.com. And a shout out to the station manager, Donna Tuckwell, for bringing me aboard her radio station. Finally, let's see. One more comment from Pat. Should be a good face-off between TD. Let's see. Sorry. Gotta have my glasses on. It should be a good face-off battle between TD, Larian, and Farrell. Will be a much bigger test than the Rush on Friday night. Absolutely, Pat. But also for the Rock, because the Rock, the last few years, have had the second best record in the National Lacrosse League after Buffalo. But mentally, can they finally beat the Bandits? The Bandits have already beaten them this year in Hamilton on the road. and the Bandits are capable of going on a 5, 6, 7 game winning streak. So this is going to be a hell of a game. I know the records. Toronto's 11-2 right now, the number 1 seed. Buffalo is number 5 at 6-6. But don't count out the Buffalo Bandits. And obviously there'll be a few Toronto Rock supporters at the KeyBank Center. But it's going to be, I think there's going to be close to a sellout on Saturday night in Buffalo for this game, because the Bandits are fighting to get into the top 4 seeds. Obviously, I don't think they're going to get the number 1 or 2 seeds, obviously losing to Albany twice. But I think the Bandits are capable of winning their last 6 games and getting that top 4 seeds. Because Pat, the first round is 1 game, winner or go home. You don't want to do that game on the road. So I think it's an important game, obviously, for the Bandits, no question about it. But for the Toronto Rock, if they, let's say, lose again to the Buffalo Bandits, okay, they'll be 11-3, still the number 1 seed. But then the critics are going to say, you're 11-3, but 2 out of your 3 losses are to the defending National League champion Buffalo Bandits. So psychologically, the Rock need this game, to me, as much as the Bandits, because you don't want to lose a second straight game to the Buffalo Bandits with the possibility of having to face them in the playoffs again. So for a mental part, I think the Rock really need this game as well. I think it's going to be a playoff game. And I'll be honest, Pat, I think this might be an overtime game. I can see the Bandits playing another overtime game against the Toronto Rock. And I think it's going to be a 1-goal game. I don't care what the records are. I think the Bandits Rock rivalry, this game's going to be 1 goal, and I think it's going to be an overtime. So we'll see what happens there. But hey, Pat, I want to say thank you so much for your support of my show over the last 4 years, and for your feedback. And I really appreciate it. And again, I want to say thanks to Pat Malacaro for coming on as well. I've been very lucky. Pat Malacaro from the Buffalo Bisons, Ryan Slobolski from the Buffalo Bandits, and Chris Bilinovich from the Toronto Argonauts. I've been very lucky to have exposure to 3 professional sports leagues teams, as well as the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame as well. And speaking of the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, guys, check it out. The Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame is in St. Mary's, Ontario. Scott Crawford, who's a friend of mine, he's the board of director. He's a director of operations for the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. And their class of 2024 this year is going to be on Saturday, June 15th, 2024. And some of the big names: former Blue Jay and Yankee pitcher Jimmy Key, Russell Martin, Paul Godfrey, who brought baseball to Toronto in 1977, but nearly 76 with the Giants. And I'm hoping to interview maybe Paul Godfrey and hopefully some of the players there as well. And looking forward to it. So it's Saturday, June 15th at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. You can get more details on their website. Just Google Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. And again, you're going to see Joey Votto when he retires in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame as well. And Joey Votto is going to be on the Jays in spring training right now as a non-roster spot guaranteed. And we'll see what happens. But Joey Votto had a great 17-year career with the Cincinnati Reds. And now he's with the Blue Jays, and we'll see what happens there. But again, check out the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. Just Google the website as well. Again, I want to say I'm going to wrap this up finally, but thank you, Pat Gregor, for watching and your comments, and Pat Malacaro for coming on. And again, you can get tickets for the Bisons at bisons.com or the Salin Field box office as well. And Friday, March 29th, 2:05 opening pitch against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Real Riders, the top farm team of the New York Yankees. I hope everybody has a great day, and we'll see you here on Wednesday, March 13th at 4 p.m. Eastern with Eli Ong, a digital journalist with WGN News in Chicago. Have a great day, guys. Thank you for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet, and also on radio stations WQEE 99.1 FM and CKRT Border City Radio in Windsor.